Your hand moves before you decide to move it. You feel a small itch in your chest. You reach for your phone. You did not choose to do this. Something older than you chose it first. You tell yourself you are checking for something important. A message, a notification, news. But most of the time there is nothing there. And you check again anyway. Why? The easy answer is that phones are designed to be addictive. That is true, but it is not the real answer. The real answer is far stranger. Your brain is not malfunctioning when it pulls you back to that screen every 6 minutes. It is doing exactly what it evolved to do in an environment it was never built for. Picture your ancestors on the savannah 200,000 years ago. Survival did not depend on strength alone. It depended on information. Where is the water today? Did the herd move? Is that rustling in the grass a predator or just wind? The humans who checked their environment constantly, who scanned, who stayed alert to small changes, were the ones who lived long enough to pass on their genes. This is called environmental monitoring. It is the constant, low-level scanning your brain does for anything new, anything that might matter. For most of human history, new information was rare and often life or death. A broken twig, a strange smell, a shift in the wind. When something new appeared, your brain rewarded you for noticing it. A small hit of dopamine. Not pleasure exactly. More like a nudge. Pay attention, this might matter. Your phone has hijacked that nudge. Every Wasit's 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 hijacked that nudge. Notification. Every red dot, every subtle vibration is a broken twig. Your brain cannot tell the difference between a predator in the grass and a like on a photo. Both register as the same thing. Something new happened. Pay attention. This might matter. Dr. Wolfram Schultz, a neuroscientist at the University of Cambridge, spent decades studying dopamine in primates. His research revealed something counterintuitive. Dopamine is not released when you get a reward. It is released when you anticipate one, especially when that reward is uncertain. A guaranteed reward barely moves your dopamine levels at all. An uncertain one sends them soaring. This is the same mechanism that makes slot machines so compelling. You do not know if you will win. That uncertainty is the hook. Your phone runs on the exact same principle, whether or not anyone designed it that way on purpose. You do not know if there will be a message when you check. You do not know if the next scroll will bring something interesting or nothing at all, so you keep checking. The not knowing is the addiction, not the content itself. There is a name for this pattern. B.F. Skinner, the behavioral psychologist, discovered it in the 1950s while studying pigeons. He found that animals rewarded on a random, unpredictable schedule pressed a lever far more compulsively than animals rewarded every single time. He called it the variable ratio reinforcement schedule. It produces the most persistent behavior of any reward pattern ever studied. Stronger than steady rewards, stronger than no rewards at all. Your phone is a variable ratio reinforcement machine. Every pull to refresh is a lever press. Every unlock is a small bet. Will something be there? But why does this feel so urgent? Why does ignoring your phone feel almost physically uncomfortable? For most of human evolution, you lived in a tribe of perhaps 50 to 150 people. You knew almost everyone in your social world personally. Anthropologist Robin Dunbar identified this number through his research on primate brain size and social group capacity. He proposed that the human brain can only meaningfully track relationships with about 150 people. This is now known as Dunbar's number. Within that small group, social information was survival information. Knowing who was angry with whom, knowing who had food to share, knowing who might betray you. Missing a piece of social information could mean isolation, and isolation for early humans often meant death. There was no surviving alone outside the group. Your brain still runs on this ancient social radar. But now it is connected not to 150 people, but potentially to billions. Every notification feels like tribal information. A comment feels like a whisper in the group. A like feels like approval from someone in your circle. Your nervous system responds as if the survival stakes are just as high as they were for your ancestors, even though almost always they are not. Have you noticed how much worse it feels to be left on read than to never receive a message at all? That gap between sending and replying used to not exist. Communication was either happening in person in real time, or it was not happening. There was no limbo. Now your brain sits in a permanent state of low-grade vigilance, waiting for resolution that may or may not come. Psychologists call this an anticipatory state, and it activates many of the same neural pathways as actual threat detection. Your body cannot fully distinguish between waiting for a text back and waiting to hear if danger has passed. Researcher Larry Rosen, who studied media psychology for over 30 years, documented something he called separation anxiety from technology. In his studies, many people reported genuine physiological stress responses, increased heart rate, sweating, when separated from their phones for extended periods. This was not a metaphor. Their bodies were treating the phone as a kind of extension of their survival network, and its absence as a kind of exposure. So when you reach for your phone in a quiet moment, you are not weak. You are not lacking discipline. You are running a 200,000-year-old survival program in an environment that exploits every rule of that program perfectly. This is the modern mirror, ancient. Humans scanned the grasslands for movement that might mean danger or opportunity. You scan a glowing rectangle for the same reason, using the exact same neural circuitry. The threats have changed. The reward systems have changed, but the wiring underneath has not changed at all. There is something almost humbling in this. The thing that feels like a flaw, a weakness, a failure of willpower is actually evidence of how well your brain once worked. It kept your ancestors alive by making them curious, alert, and socially attuned. The problem is not that your brain is broken. The problem is that an entire industry studied this brain in extraordinary detail and then built a product that fits its oldest instincts perfectly. Knowing this will not make the itch disappear the next time your phone buzzes. But it might change what you do with that knowledge. You can build friction into the system. Turning off notifications removes the broken twig signal. Leaving your phone in another room removes the easy reach. These are not tricks for the modern world. They are tricks for the ancient brain still living inside you, the one still scanning, still alert, still waiting for the rustle in the grass. Your hand moves before you decide to move it, but now maybe you understand why.